I've got Kelder here from Hobart Marriage Counselling. Good day, Hans. How you doing?
I'm very well, Nathaniel. It's a one-man show this morning.
It is a one-man show this morning.
You're doing well.
Thank you, mate. Now, what is our topic for this morning? What are we going to be talking about?
Time orientation.
Time orientation? Tell us about that.
Yep. So what it is with couples, some have there's different time orientation for couples, and so some have a focus on the past.
Yes.
Some sort of live in the present, and others have this idea they've got to prepare for the future. So that sometimes can create tension within the relationship. I don't know whether you've ever met people, but some people are sort of nostalgic types.
Yes.
You know, they talk about the past.
The heyday.
Yeah, the good old days, you know. If only the good old days were with us today, you know, life would be a lot easier. Some people live in the present, and so they want to make most of today. And money needs to be spent today, so they can have a good time today. They want to go on holidays today. And others focus on the future. They think about, now, hang on, wait a sec. You know, we're going to retire in 20 years' time. You know, have you got your superannuation in place? And so it's amazing how we have a different orientation as to time.
Is it normally one of those three categories that people live within, or is it? Do you ever find people who are kind of spread across the categories?
I think most of us are spread across the categories. It's just there's an emphasis sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
And particularly around present and future.
Yeah.
So what it is some people want to live in the present and spend money and live in the present, and they go, look, you know, why are you worried about tomorrow? Let's enjoy today.
Yeah.
And others go, no, hang on, wait a sec. I can't enjoy today unless I know that tomorrow is safe.
Yeah.
And so there's often conversations around that, and that can sometimes create tension. And so what I'm saying is that you just need to be aware that people have a different orientation when it comes to time, the way they plan things, and understand time.
Yep. So for people, say in my marriage, I'm more of the wanting to enjoy life today. That's the family culture I've come from. Whereas my wife is more of a plan for the future kind of background. If there was a tension, say for instance, there, how would you go about relieving that? What's the tips for that? So we understand there's orientation.
Yes.
How do you work on that?
There needs to be an understanding, which is what we sort of see a lot, is that there's emotion around that. And so if a person feels very strongly about one way or the other, what creates the tension is the strong feelings around whatever it is. And so if you're willing to sort of understand and respect that person's view and just listen to it and talk about it, that often just relieves the tension. So there just needs to be an understanding that there's a different way people experience time. The other thing I want to talk about time is that some people want to get on time in certain places, and others tend to procrastinate. That also creates a lot of fair bit of tension in some relationships. And so you have some people who say, look, you know, we've got to be here at 7 o'clock, and I want to be there at 7 o'clock. In fact, some people, if they've got to be at a place at 7 o'clock, they want to be there about 5 to 7.
Yes.
Or 10 to 7.
Yeah.
To make sure that they get there on time. Whereas other people go, look, this figures at 7 o'clock, but it doesn't really matter if I'm there 5 past. I mean, you know, other people are going to be late, so who cares? And that can also create a fair bit of tension in relationships. So you've got one person who gets ready and they're about to get into the car, and the other person, you know, still got to brush their teeth, comb their hair, and adjust their socks, you know what I mean? And so this also creates a fair bit of tension in relationships, actually, and you know, arguments can that sort of thing.
I could imagine too that, say for instance in a marriage relationship, if there's two different people that have two different lengths of time that they need to get ready, one of them could, I guess, misguess how much time the other person's going to take. So for instance, for me, I can usually get dressed and out the door within 15 to 20 minutes, whereas my wife, on the other hand, I should normally allow at least 40 minutes for her.
40 minutes?
Yeah. And if I don't, then you know we could be running late, and it's not nice to get her flustered either. So
yes, and that's the potential there, you see.
Yeah.
So what happens is the person who's more casual about time, I think, needs to be more considerate towards a person who is a bit tight about time, because a person who's wants to be there on time tends to get fairly frustrated and angry about the person who's procrastinating.
Yeah.
Particularly if they've made a real effort to get ready, and the other person sort of just lingering behind. And so normally the person who is a bit slower, it's good for them actually to adjust, because they don't feel the tension as much as the person who wants to be there on time. So my thing on that is just for the person who's casual, to try and fit in the person who's a little bit more upset and who gets annoyed fairly quickly about not being on time.
I guess there'd be different motivations for wanting to be there early and wanting to be late. Even sometimes people feel more comfortable turning up late to things, so they've gotten started, so it's not that awkward moment beforehand where you have to stand around, those sorts of things. But then certainly for me, one of the things that I find about getting to things early is the whole thing of respecting the other people and then respecting their time. But other people might not see it that way, so I guess they're all some of the motivations where people might be coming from.
Yes, and often the people who want to be on time talk about this thing about respect.
Okay.
If people invite you to go somewhere at 7 o'clock, then you should really have the courtesy to be there at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so people who think that way need to be there by 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
But people who go, look, we're going to be the only ones there at 7 o'clock, because most people turn up at 5 past. They'll say, look, why are you getting so upset about this? And so it becomes a tense discussion at some point.
Yeah. Okay.
Often. And so, that has that potential. But if it happens all the time and regularly, it actually gets very annoying for some couples.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing I'll talk about, one more thing, time orientation, is that some people are morning people and some people are evening people. I don't know whether you've noticed that or not.
Absolutely.
So some couples we have a couple, the husband might be bright in the morning and he gets up and he's full of life, and the wife is very slow, she likes sleeping in, And at night the same thing. You get some people want to go to bed, about 9 o'clock, and others won't go to bed till about 11 because they just like dragging that over. And this is another thing, can also create sometimes tension within a marriage relationship. And again, that adjustment, to sort of work out, well, maybe I should go to bed early with you so that we have that time together.
Yeah.
And maybe in the morning I shouldn't, expect you to jump out and be as lively as I am, so.
Yeah.
It's amazing how we have this different understanding of.
It's a good point, I guess. So the upshot of all those different points is the person who feels less stressed about it probably give a bit of away.
Yes,
okay.
Normally. So the person has less stress around that issue. They can actually listen to the person easier and quicker than the person who's stressed. The person who's stressed is the one that's often that feels the tension and will create tension in a discussion on that topic.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks so much for catching up with me this morning, Hans.
Pleasure.